Hello kids, I thought of helping you out to do this Pascal question, which you can see over the screen right now. So actually this question was there in the paper which is known as Sapaleta Savia, a support, a sort of like a support exam questions for the current O-level batch, which is given by the Ministry of Education for the Western Province. So let's go on with the question. The question number 7. Consider the array P shown below. The flowchart shown here is to set up to print yes when a number n is given. If the number is in the array P, write a pseudocode to implement this. So in here, they are asking us to implement a pseudocode. We know, right? We know when it is a pseudocode, right? When it is a pseudocode, we know that it should start with the keyword begin and it should end with the keyword end, right? It should end with the keyword end. And next, what are they asking for us to do? It is to, the flowchart here is to print the yes when a number, now for the given flowchart, what you have to do is to write a pseudocode. So then next we have to write input n. We are going to take the input as n. Just go on with the flow, right? You have to follow the flowchart given here and then just write a simple pseudocode. It's not that difficult, right? Then x is equal to 0. Now we are having a condition to be checked. Now, first of all, what we have to consider is whether this is going to be a selection control sort of, whether it's going to be an if else, or else we have to think whether this is going to be a repetition control structure where it can be while, for sort of a thing, right? But we know in this case, since this is iterating, as you all can see the arrows over here, since this is iterating, this is going to be a while loop, right? While x is less than or equal to 4, right? X is equal to less than or 4. Then we are going to do this thing, the inner loop. Actually, the indentation is very important. This is inside the while. And y'all know, if we have a while, if we start open a while, that while should be ended. So it has to be end while. And next, this is for the inside. This is if, right? If P x px is equals to n, then, and we know this has to also be end if, has to have an end if, then this has to be display yes. Display yes, and we have the end if over here, and you know, if this while loop, for this while loop to be iterated, we have to give an increment or a decrement. In this case, it is going to be an increment, right? So after this, if is closed, then we have to give the increment over here. X is equals to x plus 1. So can you all see it's really not that difficult. It's really easy, right? This is the answer for your question number 1. Right? This is the answer for your question number 1, which means the main question, question number 7, the subpart A. Right? This is it. Okay. Then let's go for the next question. Ask. The question is in Sinhala. Let me translate it to English. So they are asking for you all to consider this Pascal code they have given, right? And they are asking what is the purpose of the above code? How many times? Let me just do this. Okay. So they are asking us to find out what is the purpose of this given code, and also to how many times it prints a statement, right? And how many times it is repeated. And also what will happen if the statement x equals x plus 1 is removed. Okay, let's see what happens. First of all, as a this is a tip. This is a tip that I can give you all to reduce the time you are going to spend on doing such a question. As well as this will give you, like, this won't confuse. If you use this method, this won't confuse. What you have to do is, when you take your paper, right? When you take your paper, just grow some boxes for the variables they have given. You all know what are variables, right? The variables are the things that can vary. In this case, the x can be varied, right? And also the n can be varied, right? They are asking us is what is the, first of all, they are asking us is what is the purpose of the code now? Let me give you all an answer for this. In this case, the purpose of this is, the whole purpose of this code over here is to print the numbers from 1 to 10. Why? Because you all can see here, the x starts from 1, right? X starts from 1. And here in the while loop, if the x is less than 1, let me do the first few iterations over here, right? X is less than or equals to 10, which then do. So this is correct, right? This is correct. And then we go inside this one, they are going to print it. So x, we are going to print 1, then x plus 1, then here it becomes 2, and then we are going to print 2. Likewise, this goes up to 3, and when it comes, right, this goes up to 3 to 10 and all. And here, when it becomes 10, when it becomes 10, 10 is less than or equal to 10. Now, this is a very good, this is a very important thing you all should remember. 10 is less than or equal to 10. 10 is equals to 10. Then this loop should be iterated. If it is like 10 is less than 10, then it is false. But here we have this equal mark. So therefore, this is going to iterate again, and this will print it up to 10. This will print up to 10. And then the x becomes 11. So 11 less than or equal to 10, it's false, right? It false. The condition stops from there. The iteration stops from there. So the main purpose of this code segment over here is to print the numbers from 1 to 10. Display the numbers from 1 to 10, right? Then the next question they ask from us is, what happens, how many times is a statement right and x repeated? Now, from the thing which I explained for y'all as well, y'all can see that this statement gets repeated for how many times? It gets repeated for 10 times, because it starts from 1, and I told you it goes after 10. When it is 1, it starts up to 10. Even when the x is equals to 10, this statement is going to be printed. So therefore, this line, this right ln x is getting printed. It's getting repeated for 10 times. The next one is, what happens if the statement x equals x plus 1 is removed? What happens? As I told you all before also, in the for loops, right? Keep this in your mind. In the for loops, we know how I'm going to iterate, right? Because in the for loops, we mention it in the very beginning. But in the while loop, we don't mention how many iterations we are going to do at the beginning of the loop. So we should very carefully remember that when we write a code using while loop, there has to be a line to increment or decrement the variable we are using to check the condition, right? In this case, this x, right? This x should be, either it has to be a plus or it has to be a minus, or some sort of a thing has to be happen to the x. Otherwise, what happens is, if we do not mention this part, or else if we are not going to mention something that should happen for the variable we are checking for the condition, then what happens is, the loop will be infinitely, right? The loop will be infinitely repeated. It can be infinitely iterated. So this is going to be a non-ending loop, right? This is very important, because all the time, if we do not have this, what happens is, now, when I explained y'all before, it was like from 1 to 10, the numbers got printed, right? From 1 to 10, the numbers got printed. But in this case, if we remove this part, imagine if you do not have this part, what happens is, this is going to iterate, right? Again, it's 1. Always x is equals to 1. So what happens all the time, the condition is correct. In that case, every time One will be printed infinitely and the loop will be non-ending loop. I think this is very much clear for you. Okay. The next part. What is the output of the value of this flow chart when 20 is given as the input? Now, this is a place I want to mention all the tip to ensure that your answers are correct, as well as not to spend too much of time on a question like this. What you have to do is this, they are asking how many times 20 is going to print it. So 20 is actually getting for the variable r. However, even though it is going to get for the variable r, we have r over here, and also we have x over here, right? And also they are asking us what is the output value of this flow chart when 20 is given as the input, right? When 20 is given as the input, okay? So x is going to be equal for, right? X is going to be equal for 20 because input x now. So x is the one and they are asking us to consider 20 as the input. So x is going to be 20, right? R equals x mod 2. This is a very famous question and I know that most of your teachers have taught you all what is this mod is. Mod is the remaining, right? Mod is the remaining. If we do 5 mod 2, if we do 5 mod 2, when we divide 5 from 2, this is not 5D, but I'm explaining is how we are going to get the answer for these things. When we divide 5 from 2, right? When we divide 5 from 2, we have 2 2's inside 5, that is 4, and we are getting a 1 remainder. So this is what? This 1 we get over here, right? This 1 which we are getting over here is considered as the value we get when we give the equation, when we give it as 5 mod 2, right? That's, I hope it's clear for you. So here we get 20, and when we do 20 mod 2, when we divide 20 from 2, there are 10 2's inside 20. So therefore we do not get a remainder. So in this case, r is going to be equals to 0. Since when we divide 20 by 2, we have 10 2's inside 20. So 2 into 10 becomes 20 and we do not have any remainder, right? So then they are asking if r is equals to 0. So here see, we have got that answer r is equals to 0. So in that case, we are going to print even, or else we are going to print odd. So we are going to print even. So for the purpose of letting you understand what mod is only, I demonstrated this whole thing, right? Even without doing any sort of these calculations and doing any rough work, you all can see. So they ask you to take the input as 20. And the equation over here is the mod. So you know now, as I explained you all, mod is the remaining you get when you divide some number by another number. So in that case, without even doing any sort of a thing, you can come to a decision that it's going to print even, right? So I hope everything I explained for y'all is very much clear. And if y'all want to come up with answers for any Pascal questions or any sort of a question, right? Any sort of a question you all have, just let me know. Okay, thank you.